Welcome back. One of the biggest myths I still see online is the idea that successful creators are somehow creating 10 times more content than everyone else. People look at large creators and think, they're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, Threads, Facebook, podcasts, newsletters. How is that even possible? And the assumption is usually that they either have massive teams or they're simply working non-stop. But the more I've studied successful creator businesses, the more I've realized something interesting. Many of them aren't necessarily creating more content, they're creating better systems. And those are very different things. Because if you're constantly producing new content from scratch every single day, eventually you hit a wall. You run out of time. You run out of energy. You run out of ideas. But if you build a content system correctly, one idea can become dozens, or even hundreds, of content assets. And I think AI is accelerating this shift faster than most people realize.
It absolutely is. And what's fascinating is that we're watching the creator economy mature. A few years ago, creators were mostly focused on content production. Today, the highest performing creators think more like media companies. They think about distribution, repurposing, audience journeys, content ecosystems, platform strategy, monetization infrastructure. And AI makes this dramatically easier. But here's the important distinction: AI doesn't automatically create a content empire. AI amplifies whatever system already exists. If someone has no structure, AI simply helps them create chaos faster. If someone has a strong strategy, AI helps them scale exponentially.
That's such an important distinction. Because people often ask, what's the best AI tool? But that's almost the wrong question. The better question might be, what's the best system? Because tools change constantly, the strategy underneath them matters far more.
Exactly. And that's why today I want to break down how modern creators are building content ecosystems that operate across multiple platforms simultaneously. Not by working harder, but by working systematically.
Let's start with a problem that almost everyone in content creation experiences at some point: burnout. And I think burnout is often misunderstood. People assume burnout happens because someone is lazy or unmotivated. But from what I've observed, burnout usually happens because effort and results become disconnected. Someone spends hours researching, hours scripting, hours editing, hours posting. And then the content performs poorly. Or maybe it performs well but doesn't create business results. And eventually they start questioning whether all the effort is worth it. So why do so many creators burn out despite working incredibly hard?
Because they're operating as content producers rather than content architects. And that's a huge difference. A producer focuses on the next post. An architect focuses on the system. For example, a producer thinks, what should I post tomorrow? An architect thinks, how can this piece of content create value for the next 6 months? That's a completely different mindset. And once creators make that shift, everything changes. Because now content becomes an asset instead of a task.
I love that distinction. Content as an asset versus content as a task. Because tasks disappear after they're completed. Assets continue creating value.
Exactly. And content becomes an asset when it can be reused, repurposed, redistributed, referenced, transformed, monetized. Multiple times.
Let's talk about what a content empire actually looks like. Because I think many people imagine a content empire as simply having millions of followers everywhere. But I suspect it's more strategic than that.
Much more strategic. A content empire is essentially a system where one core idea flows through multiple channels. The biggest mistake creators make is treating every platform as a completely separate job. That approach becomes exhausting very quickly. Instead, successful creators build around a core content engine. For example, a single 90-minute podcast episode can become a YouTube video, 20 short-form clips, a newsletter, LinkedIn posts, X threads, Threads content, email content, blog articles, lead magnets, community discussions. And all of that originates from one conversation.
So instead of creating 10 different pieces of content, you're creating one master asset and then distributing it intelligently.
Exactly. And AI is making this process dramatically faster.
Let's go deeper into the actual tool stack. Because this is where people get curious. What are the tools modern creators are using to scale content across multiple platforms?
Let's break this into categories. ChatGPT is still one of the most powerful tools available. Not just for writing, for strategy. Advanced creators use it for audience research, content frameworks, storytelling structures, offer positioning, content planning, platform adaptation. Claude AI is exceptional for long-form writing, podcast planning, educational content, deep explanations, thought leadership content. Perplexity AI is amazing for trend analysis, market research, fact gathering, competitor analysis.
What's interesting is that these tools don't replace creativity. They accelerate thinking.
Yes, and that's an important distinction.
This might be the most important segment for creators, because most people massively underestimate how much value exists inside one piece of content.
Absolutely. And this is where AI creates enormous leverage. Video repurposing tools. 1. Opus Clip automatically identifies viral moments, creates clips, adds captions, optimizes formats. 2. Video.ai transforms long videos into platform-specific content. 3. Descript powerful for podcast editing, transcript-based editing, content extraction. 4. CapCut still one of the most powerful tools for short-form content workflows.
What fascinates me is that creators are increasingly becoming distributors rather than just producers.
Exactly. Distribution is becoming a competitive advantage.
I think this is where many creators get overwhelmed, because they understand the concept of repurposing. They understand the concept of distribution. But when they actually sit down and try to execute it, they suddenly realize how many moving parts there are. And they start asking themselves, do I need to be on every platform? Should I post the same thing everywhere? How often should I publish? How do I maintain quality across multiple channels? And honestly, those are legitimate questions. So if someone wanted to build a multi-platform content system from scratch today, how would you approach it?
The first thing I would say is, stop trying to dominate every platform immediately. That strategy fails for most people. Instead, think in layers. Layer 1. Core content platform. This is where your deepest content lives. For many creators, that's YouTube, podcasting, newsletter. This becomes the source material. Layer 2. Discovery platforms. These are designed to attract attention. Examples: TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels. The goal here isn't depth. It's discovery. Layer 3. Relationship platforms. This is where conversations happen. Examples: LinkedIn, X, Threads, community groups. These platforms build familiarity and trust. Layer 4. Owned assets. This is where long-term value lives. Examples: email lists, membership communities, websites, courses. Because algorithms change, owned audiences remain.
That framework immediately makes everything feel more manageable, because now each platform has a purpose.
Yes, and purpose creates clarity.
Let's look forward, because AI is evolving incredibly fast. What do you think content creation looks like 3 to 5 years from now?
I think 3 major shifts happen. First, content volume explodes. Second, attention becomes even more valuable. Third, trust becomes the ultimate differentiator. Because if everyone can create content instantly, the question becomes, who do people actually believe? And that's why personal brands become stronger, not weaker.
So paradoxically, AI may create more demand for authenticity.
Exactly. The more artificial content exists, the more people value genuine perspective.
If you had to identify one mistake that creators are likely to make over the next few years, what would it be?
Easy. Confusing content volume with content value. Many creators will produce more than ever, but very few will build systems. And the winners won't necessarily be the people creating the most content. They'll be the people building the strongest content ecosystems. Because ecosystems compound, random content doesn't.
I think that's probably the biggest insight from today's conversation. The future isn't about creating more. It's about creating smarter.
And the creators who learn how to combine AI, systems, distribution, trust, consistency will have extraordinary advantages.
Because content empires aren't built post by post. They're built system by system.
Exactly. And when your content starts working together instead of separately, growth becomes far more predictable.
Thank you, Anna. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.